It is the most wonderful time of the year. The holiday dinners, the foods, the sweets, the holiday spirit. It makes you thankful for that wonderful Christmas dinner and those sweatpants you got for Christmas, because we know why. That elastic band to open up that belly. Oh yeah, the perfect gift for the holiday season. It is the season of giving and receiving, but there's maybe one gift you don't want to be on the receiving end of or give either. That's food poisoning. And some of you might be thinking, I know, Doc, I'm still recovering from that leftover, maybe not so great Thanksgiving food that I had maybe weeks later. And if you've ever been on the receiving end of food poisoning, oh my goodness, you know the misery that I'm talking about. But being on the receiving end of food poisoning is bad, but imagine being the person who actually gave that food poisoning to somebody else. No, you don't want to be known as that person who made your friend use the restroom for 2 straight days. Howdy y'all, Dr. Islam here, aka your poop guru, trying to give you the best tips and tricks so you can live your best life from the top all the way down to the bottom. In today's video, we're gonna talk about that nasty, terrible, horrible thing you may be getting during the holidays, or maybe you're the one who's giving it, called food poisoning. No! But I'm gonna give you 4 ways I recommend on what you can do to make sure you don't give it and get it during this holiday season. Imagine being able to enjoy those holiday foods without that stomach pain. Guys, let's talk about poop. All right, guys, quick question. How many of y'all can guess how many people get food poisoning from Christmas leftovers every single year? Comment down below, let me know what you think. Got your answer? You'll never guess. 400,000 people! Oh my goodness! That's almost 500,000 if I can do my math correct. That is so many people out there that suffer from food poisoning from leftover holiday foods. So what exactly is the cause? Well, you'd be surprised to know there's over 250 bacteria, viruses, and fungi out there that have the potential to infiltrate your food to cause that stomach pain, the nausea, the vomiting, the diarrhea, all sorts of badness going on inside your GI tract. And they can exist in foods at any point in time, whether it's packaged foods, foods left over, the way it's made, certain types of foods. It really can be in any scenario that you can think of. And we know there are certain foods that are more prone to give you food poisoning, such as unpasteurized milk or dairy, undercooked food like meat or seafoods, rotten fruit, raw eggs, even fresh produce. You may have heard of outbreaks out there from fresh produce that has not been cleaned properly. And one reason you hear people getting sick in a buffet is one ingredient can destroy that whole meal. So for example, one bat of bag eggs can make the whole omelet that's being served in a buffet poisonous and terrible for anyone who has just a small little bite. And if one person in the kitchen doesn't wash their hands properly, they can contaminate the food and make everyone in the restaurant sick. And your chance of getting food poisoning is actually so much higher in the summer. That 90-degree heat can actually make your food more prone to have germs and cause food poisoning. That is why picnics and camping trips are prone to have a lot of people get poisoning from food, especially if it's not cooled correctly or you have it in a cooler that's not at the right temperature. Now, most of the time, we don't quite know why certain people or certain viruses or bacteria cause food poisoning, but here are the most common ones you should be aware of. Number 1 is norovirus. This is a simple virus that causes almost half of all the food poisonings that are out there, and it's such a contagious virus. Even a small little bit, if you get it, can really wreak havoc inside your GI tract. Now, the most common reason that norovirus can get you sick is from contaminated food. But something as simple as shaking hands with somebody who has that virus and you just infect yourself, that will cause you to get sick. Or touching a doorknob from somebody who has the virus as well can also get you food poisoning. So doing something as simple as washing your hands, Using a disinfectant or using wipes can help prevent norovirus from spreading. Number 2 is salmonella, which is a group of bacteria that's typically found in undercooked food. And symptoms can show, which is diarrhea, belly pain, and sometimes nausea, up to a week after you've actually been infected by that particular bacteria. However, there are some bacteria that are even more dangerous than that. One of them is E. coli. Now, E. coli is a common bacteria that's found in the intestines of animals, but it can be very contagious and cause a lot of food poisoning in humans, especially if you have this bacteria in undercooked food like meat, unpasteurized milk, or even poultry. Now, some strains are harmless, but some can make you very, very, very sick with bloody diarrhea and really bad sickness where you have to be hospitalized and get antibiotics. So speaking of sick, one of the more common symptoms of food poisoning will include things like nausea and vomiting, diarrhea, upset stomach, indigestion, abdominal pain, not being able to keep anything down, and sometimes even fever can be associated with that. Now, these symptoms can also be due to other medical conditions, and sometimes these symptoms over time will go away. But what are reasons where you need to go see a doctor? Number 1, if you have nausea and vomiting to the point of dehydration where you can't keep anything down, can't keep fluids, can't even eat, and you feel very weak. Number 2, you have diarrhea that's not stopping, or the diarrhea does become bloody. Number 3, if you have a temperature greater than 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Number 4, you have that dehydration with dry mouth, not being able to urinate, very thirsty. Or lastly, you have blurry vision or muscle weakness. If you have any of these symptoms, don't ignore it. Make sure you speak to the nearest doctor or go straight to the emergency room. All right, now that I scared the living bejesus out of you, here are 4 tips I recommend that you can do today to help prevent you from getting food poisoning. Number 1, keep it clean. Wash your hands. Wash your utensils. If you're going to be cooking with meat, make sure you disinfect it and wash that really good. Make sure you clean your hands, clean your utensils, keep as many areas as you can clean to protect yourself and the people who you're enjoying your food with. Just remember, if it touches the food, it needs to be cleaned every single time at every single meal, whether it's utensils, cutting board, tables, or even plates. Number 2, keep it separate. Don't mix your ready-to-eat food with raw food, meat, eggs, poultry, seafood. Separate it, guys. Don't keep them together. And don't use the same cutting board that you would use for your raw meats as you would to cut up your vegetables. I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button, comment down below. Number 3, keep it hot when you're cooking. That heat does a fantastic job of getting rid of those viruses and those bacteria that can cause food poisoning. Use that food thermometer. It is one of the most simplest and most effective tools you can use to make sure you heat up your food enough to kill the bacteria. And knowing the proper internal temperature for the foods that you're cooking is critical to make sure you don't get sick. If you don't know what they are, do what I do. Google it. Find out the safest temperature to ward off those bad bacteria and viruses. And number 4, keep it cold when you're storing that food. Keep your refrigerator before 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and don't forget to refrigerate your food no longer than 2 hours after you cook it. Don't leave the food out there overnight. It's gonna get disgusting and full of all sorts of bad stuff. Make sure you store that food in a proper container in a cool place. Oh guys, one more thing. Remember this phrase: when in doubt, throw it out. Listen, I don't want you to be suffering from food poisoning during the holiday time. If you don't know if it's cooked right, if it's been refrigerated, is it good for you? Who cares? Throw it out. Save yourself the trouble and also the misery of being affected by food poisoning. Here's what I want you to do today. Remember, it's better to be safe than sorry when it comes to food safety. This week, be mindful of what you eat, check expiration dates, make sure you're cooking properly, keep things separated, and keep things clean. And double down on any extra precautions you can have to make sure you have a happy and safe holiday. Guys, I thank you for watching. My question today for you: what would you add to these tips? What would you subtract? What would you change? Comment down below. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button. Like, share, and subscribe so you can get more tips and tricks on what you can do to keep your health happy and healthy. And also, you can subscribe to my newsletter as well. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Happy holidays. Don't forget, let's talk about poop. Thanks, guys.